What up, team? Felix in the building already. We love to see it. Crew, if you're here, drop a little note in the chat. Let me know who's hanging out tonight. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome back in. Well, agency therapy. It's Wednesday, so you know we're here. Took a little break ski for Thanksgiving, of course. Hope you guys had a great holiday. Hope you got some good rest. Gotta make sure you guys can hear me. Johnny Danes on the LinkedIn. What up, bro? Gotta have you back in relatively soon. All right, hold on. I gotta change my mic. I got the wrong one on real fast. Give me 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds. All right, there we go. Maybe. Lee Media. Felix said that thumbnail caught my eye. As it should. As it should, my friend. We love to see it. Guys, I hope you're doing great. You know I'm down. Don't forget I was one half of this for a long time. You were, and you really missed out on being an equity partner, John. If you would have stuck your time out and put in the hours, you would have been an equity partner in agency therapy. But you miss your shot, bro. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. As Michael Scott used to say. All right. Team, we're talking cold strategy today. I'm really excited to go through this with you guys today. You'll see a little preface above that said beginner strategy. And let me just tell you that a beginner strategy with Outbound is a beginner strategy at the beginning, but it can evolve into a very advanced strategy over time. And this is something that even some of the largest companies on the planet use, is actually utilizing a cold strategy. And here's the thing. I think a lot of people get it wrong, and a lot of people don't utilize the cold strategy the right way and don't understand the benefit fully. So there's kind of two groups of people that will utilize a cold strategy or will not use a cold strategy. Okay. There's a group of people that think it's going to be, hey, we're just going to send outbounds and we're going to land deals, right? Which happens for sure. But then there's also this group of people that are like, hey, like, I don't want to use cold strategy because I don't want to seem needy, or I don't want to send outbounds to people because it's going to make my brand feel less elevated, right? It seems like a very beginner strategy, which can be true if you're sending messages a certain way, right? And so what I want to show you guys today is, one, how to implement this strategy into your overarching lead generation strategy, and how to come across as not a beginner and not someone that is just sending messages to hopefully get a deal, right? And here's the thing is, like, of course we're sending messages to hopefully get a deal, but we've all gotten them before. Those messages that you're just like, why is this 15-year-old kid messaging me on how to get leads for my agency or to do social media for my agency, right? We've gotten a lot of those before, and we've seen really poorly crafted messaging. So I'm going to show you guys some really solid messaging that has worked extremely well for us. And so I want to jump into the agency therapy stream board and kind of lay things out for you. So let's go ahead and do a little share screen here, and we can hop in. Okay. Now, if you guys haven't been a part of agency therapy before, I cover this every single time, but there is a ton of lessons inside of here, 100% for free for you to come and hang out and check some stuff out. Okay. Anything from onboarding clients to market leader positioning, right? A lot of stuff in here, a lot of good content. And so if you guys are getting into the agency space, or you're wanting some really solid trainings on how to build a really masterful agency, this is a great place to start, and it's 100% for free. Let me real quick share the link with you so you guys can get access to this. Please don't edit or change anything in here. Some people do it every once in a while and I have to revert it, but if you do, just let me know and I can change it back. But here's the link if you guys want to hop into the agency therapy stream board with me, and let's go ahead and turn this on. Giddy up. All right. Now, you guys, lots of trainings here. Once again, feel free to jump in. Now, last week, you guys, we kind of started with an overall overarching lead gen strategy for 2024. This week, we're talking specifically in the segment of cold outbound. Okay. Now, quick recap from last week, if you missed it, because you'll need a little bit of context coming into this one, is understanding that we have the Kobayashi's core three. Remember, in $100 million leads, Hormozy has his core four. Usually a little bit more advanced agency, your warm outreach just isn't the thing that is effective anymore. Okay, so we're moving into just the core three because these are the things that I feel like we can truly pull the lever on as a business. Some of that warm outreach really depends on like the size of your network, and it's just not a sustainable way to continue to grow a business. We could talk, of course, about affiliates and being able to utilize affiliates and referrals and things like that at a certain point, but I feel like for the most part people understand like, hey, like that's a great way to find really warm leads. Okay, so let's talk about the cold side because cold is a little bit more difficult than bringing in a warm lead. Okay, now with cold, okay, a couple things here. Remember, this is direct messaging or direct calling. I'm not going to cover any direct calling because one, I just don't do it. And so I'm not going to teach you something that I don't do myself. But we do a lot of direct messaging, a lot of cold outreach on LinkedIn and also email. Okay. And so basically the whole idea of direct outbound is that we're making a compelling case on why someone would want to even speak or work with us. Okay. Now, remember this funnel structure that I kind of laid out for you guys here is that cold outreach is normally the first thing that we do. And the reason that it's the first thing that people do within their agency or service based business is that it creates a lot of SQLs or sales qualified leads. Okay. And sales qualified leads are fantastic. It's what we want because it generally means that we're going to book a call with someone and we're going to have the opportunity to convert them into a sale, right? Or into a client. So that cold outreach is really effective. And really, it's just a volume game. And the more we send, the more opportunities we get, and the more sales conversions that we eventually get as well. Okay. Now, these other pieces are a little bit more of a long term play and don't necessarily generate a ton of phone conversations immediately, right? There's a lot of trust built here in posting free content and running paid ads. And so the reason that I'm covering cold outreach first, cold outbound first, is it's going to generate the most amount of sales qualified leads for yourself possible in the shortest amount of time. Okay. Now, if you do it right. Okay. Now, jumping into it. Okay. A little bit more recap here before we jump into the actual strategy. Okay. So if the goal is more book calls, then we should be casting the widest net possible. Okay. And so this is the first part of our net. And remember, guys, we're going to get a lot of no's in cold outreach. So you have to be willing to play a volume game and do a lot of testing in order to get the couple of yeses from the amount of volume that we'll be sending out. Okay. And we'll cover that a little bit more in depth here in just a second. Now, guys, remember that in order for us to get a sales conversion or to get a lead, to get a booked call, then we have to create leverage in the situation. We have to build this little thing called trust. And trust is really hard to build in a cold outreach scenario because we are literally reaching out to someone and saying, hey, are you interested in my service? That's a really difficult place to be when it comes to trying to get someone to book a call with you or trying to even get a sales conversion, right? And so just remember this is that if we have a tiny bit of leverage, that means that there's a very little trust built. And the more trust that we build, the more leverage we gain with a prospect or a lead or someone that is on a sales call with us. And we want that leverage because it makes it really easy to pull them into a conversion. Okay. So with that being said, this is the hardest form, and this is why volume is so important with cold outbound, is that there's very little trust built. So keep that in mind in the outbound process. Volume is key. And I'm going to probably say it 3 or 4 more times that we have to send volume. Otherwise, this strategy is not going to work for you. Okay. Now, let's talk about list building. And if you guys have read $100 million offers, $100 million leads, Hormozy talks about some of these things. And some of these concepts do come from $100 million leads. But I make a couple tweaks, especially in the messaging side. So make sure you guys listen in on that side because I don't necessarily agree 100% with how Hormozy lays out his messaging in $100 million leads. Different strokes for different folks. Okay. His stuff, I can guarantee you it works, right? Because he's doing it. He wrote a book about it. I'm sure it's effective, right? We've had success with a different type of messaging. And this different type of messaging is, for us is has been effective. And so I want to teach you what's been effective for us, not what someone wrote in a book that we haven't even tried. Okay. So I'll show you what we do. And hey, chances are you can pull a little bit of both. I'm going to use some of the messaging that Hormozy is using. So I can get better at my cold outbound. But I want to show you the stuff that has been effective for me and my team and the agencies that we've served. Does that sound good to you guys? Let me check in real quick. Where's everyone at? Best Miro board in the game. True, Felix. It is top notch. Okay. All right. So let's talk about list building first, because you guys are gonna have to build a list of people to prospect to. Now, you guys, the main places that we can get a lead list from, we get it from software, brokers, groups, and communities. Okay. But for the most part, we're probably gonna get it from software. Okay. Um, Brokers can be expensive. Groups and communities, more of a long-term play, a little bit oversaturated, and in my opinion, a lot more difficult than just going to a software or a broker. Okay. So chances are you're going to go to a software first to pull your lead list. Now, if you guys don't know where to get your lead list, there's this called Google, and we just find our lead list that way. Now, I will give you guys a recommendation. Apollo is really solid as far as downloading lead lists go. And then also a lot of our outbound will happen through LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which you don't even have to pull a list. You just have to customize things accordingly. Okay. Now, personally, we have only used software, but once again, these other options do exist: brokers, groups, and communities. If you're not able to find a list through a software, okay, you can find a bunch of options with an easy Google search. So make sure you guys utilize those. Let me get my Miro out of here, or Crisp out of here. All right, there we go. Okay. Now, you guys, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, little action step here. You got to put together your search criteria. If you're not 100% sure how to do the search criteria for LinkedIn Navigator or Sales Navigator, I have a full training on LinkedIn Outbound, guys. It's very effective. It's very good. We run a ton of this for our consultancy, and we run this with a lot of our agencies, and we can get in touch with anyone from Fortune 1000 companies to anyone in the service-based industry, basically any service that you're looking for, or any niche that you're looking for. Chances are we can find them on LinkedIn. And if you guys need that and how to build connections in your niche, make sure you guys go through this training. It's really effective. Okay. And there's screenshots and shows you guys exactly how to find and filter appropriately. So I'm not going to go through all of that. This is more high level strategy on outbound. But if you want like the nitty gritty step by step how to do it, Part 7, lead generation on LinkedIn, is going to show you how. Okay. So just a little heads up there. Go to that training if you're not sure how to make those lists, because that's not what I want to cover today. All right. So building a list. So little action step, go watch the LinkedIn Sales Navigator training and put together your search criteria. Now, if you're using cold email, little action step here, you got to put together a lead list of at least 1,000 people minimum. Okay. Now, you guys, I'm not here to show you how to put together a lead list. Okay. You guys can figure that out. Use your resources. Apollo even has a YouTube video on this, how to build a lead list. I linked it here for you guys to utilize. Okay. Not the best use of our time today. I would rather utilize our time on high level strategy and showing you guys some of the messaging and things like that that we're sending. So this is really easy to do. Okay. Go to this YouTube video if you need it, or go to the LinkedIn Sales Navigator training I put together. Okay. Sound good? Give me a little thumbs up in the chat if that sounds freaking fantastic. All right. Now, that moves us over into messaging. And I feel like I spelled messaging wrong. Why does that look so weird? I don't think I did. All right. Don't overcomplicate this, okay? The whole goal is just to field a response from a prospect, okay? A lot of times, I don't know why people get really complicated with their scripts, or they send really weird stuff. I get them all the time, and I'm like, what are you guys sending? Okay. So don't overcomplicate your scripts. Okay. There's really only 2 types of messaging that we can utilize. There's something called direct close-ended messaging, and then there's something called indirect open-ended messaging. Okay. Now, what's the difference between the two? Well, let's start with direct close-ended messaging first. Now, this is where my strategy does differ a little bit from a lot of the strategies that you're going to see on YouTube and on the internet. Okay. Now, with a close-ended messaging or direct close-ended messaging type system, basically we're just making a compelling case on why someone would want to speak with us. Okay. It's zero customization. It is a copy paste template, and we just send volume all day. Now, a lot of what people will teach right now is customization, doing custom Loom videos, right? Which, if you have the time, can work really well. Okay. But in an organization where I'm just like, hey, we're just popping volume here, because you're going to have 2 buying personas, right? You're going to have people that are currently looking for a solution, and the compelling case that you make will make them interested, or you have people that aren't searching and aren't buying, and you're just going to get a no anyway. So if the buying criteria is either yes or no, then I'm not going to spend all this time in customization, because it doesn't make a ton of sense when either someone is searching or they're not searching, because those are the two cases that we're going to run into. People are either going to understand what we do and we can make a compelling case on why someone would want to speak with us, and they're actually looking for a solution at that certain point in time. And our whole goal is to get lucky enough to land in the right inbox of someone that is searching, hence why volume is so important. But if we land in an inbox of someone that's not searching, we can't add value, then we're going to get a no immediately. And so if I spend all this time customizing my messaging and putting together a custom Loom video for someone that's not even looking, it's a huge waste of time. So I would rather send messages that have a compelling case on why someone would want to work with us. And hopefully I land in the right inbox at the right time, because that's really what cold outbound comes into. It's a little bit of luck. And that's why volume is so important. Now, I put down a script here, and these are scripts that have worked over the past year and a half for us now, and have been really effective. And they always start off with, "Hey, I know this is random." Right. And sometimes we'll put the name at the beginning. And this went out to someone named Joanna. "Hey, I know this is random, but you seem like the best person to reach out for this." Okay. Now, this is going to get the head kind of tilting just a little bit. Okay. And for us, this has been a really effective way to open up and really hook people in. And for us, like, we're looking for agency owners. Obviously, you need to be able to change who you're targeting specifically in these messages. But I'm looking to chat with a few more agency owners looking to scale up in 2023. Now, obviously, we are going to change this 2024 at the beginning of the year. But from here, we give a little bit of background and get them intrigued on why that compelling case on why someone would want to speak with us. Okay. My name is Josh. I'm an agency owner with a background in media buying. I sold my first agency in 2019, and now I help agencies scale through one-on-one guidance on ops, sales, retention, hiring, etc. If you'd be open to it, I'd love to find 10 to 15 minutes to learn more about your agency to see if this is could be a potential fit for you to scale and give you a few ideas. Feel free to book a time here that works best for you. Okay. And then this is the really important part at the end. Worst case scenario, I'll share a few things that have been working really well for other agencies with a similar model to yours, and then signed off on a name. Now, why does this messaging work exactly? Well, one, the hook is pretty good because people reading, "Hey, I know this is random, but you seem like the best person to reach out for this." Okay. Uh, we continue to keep their interest by talking about their industry. I'm looking to chat with a few more agency owners looking to scale up in 2023. And here's the thing, most agencies, and I don't know if you guys have met an agency owner, but most of them want to scale. There's very few that are like, no, I'm good where I'm at. Thanks. Most of them want to scale, right? And so they continue to read, and they read about my background. And this is my chance to show the validity of what we do, right? And so I'm an agency owner, I have a background in media buying. We sold our first agency in 2019. Like, oh, shoot, they sold their agency. That's pretty cool. I want to sell my agency. Or maybe they don't want to sell their agency, but they might need some guidance and ops. Or maybe they're having problems with sales conversion or retaining clients or hiring. And so they might be open to actually chatting with me. Okay. Now, if they'd be open to it, we'd love to find 10 to 15 minutes with them, learn more about their agency, see if there'd be a potential fit to help you scale, plus give you a few ideas, right? Now, that little extra sentence at the end there, plus give you a few ideas, okay? Really important, because we want to be able to hook them in and say, hey, like, this is something where potentially we're going to learn something and we're going to exchange value. And if you've read through $100 million leads, you'll notice that Hormozy wants you to be very value forward. And so this message shows some sort of value of like, hey, like, I might learn something from somebody that sold an agency and now teaches other agencies how to do the exact same thing. Okay. And then from here, we have a different link now. We didn't like this type form link. So we actually have a different link now that they can book on. It looks a little less scammy, I guess you'd say. So we don't use the type form agency audit link anymore. It's a little bit cleaner link that goes directly to our website. Feel free to find a time that works best for you here. And then this last sentence, so important, guys. Worst case scenario, I'll share a few things that have been working really well for other agencies, or insert your specific niche there with a similar model to yours. And here's the thing, guys. when you're working and when people do research on you and they see all the case studies and all the things that are working for other people in their niche, chances are they might want to talk to you. Now, here's the thing. You guys, we get a lot of no's, okay? We get a ton of no's, but we get a decent amount of yeses from this message, okay? So, with that being said, it's a volume play. So, we're just sending this a lot to a lot of people, and we get a lot of no's, but we do get a few yeses. And those few yeses are 100% worth it because we are targeting the right people in the right niche, okay? So, hopefully that's making sense so far, okay? So, we get a lot of no's, but we also get a few yeses. And that's what we're searching for. We're looking to land in the right inbox at the right time and having a conversation with someone that is looking for something that we offer, right? That's how it works. Now, on the opposite side here, we have also indirect messaging. Now, indirect messaging is a little bit more difficult, okay? Because it does take massive follow up and it does take a system in order for you to be able to continue the conversation more than just the first message going out. Guys, this right here, this is yes or no. Okay. Yes, I'm interested. No, I'm not. Okay. Done and over, just like that. Now, indirect messaging or open ended messaging, indirect open ended messaging, is kind of like this. And a bad example of indirect messaging, and this is more direct messaging, is like, does your brand have enough creative to test? Okay, this can yield a yes or no response. It can be tough to work with. This over here, okay, it can be really tough to work with. So here's the thing: if you have very little time, just go for direct messaging. Okay, it's going to get you yes or no. But if you have some time, say you're kind of in, and this is what a lot of beginning strategies or beginner strategies will utilize, is more open-ended messaging. And we use open-ended questions to get a response and continue the conversation. So if we can hook them in with something of value, a question that would generate a response, then we can keep the conversation going. Does that make sense so far? You guys feeling that? All right. I don't see any messages coming through yet, so we'll keep plugging along. If you guys have questions, drop them in chat. I have to kind of go back and forth in between the Miro board, so if you have questions, drop them in, and as I come back and check in on the chat, I will, of course, answer those. So, open-ended questions is going to be really important. Now, for this, we have the same opening line, and this opening line, guys, I'm not kidding, it works so well for us. I know this is random, but you seem like the best person to reach out for this. I'm doing some research into where agencies are focusing their time and effort during Q4. I'll be sharing a write-up and an analysis with everyone who's kind enough to take a moment to respond. What's your primary focus for Q4? Now, you guys, this question here, and here's the thing, you guys can edit this for whatever niche you need it to be in, generates the craziest responses. I'm not kidding. We will get paragraphs back with these responses, and they will problem dump completely on us, right? Now, it takes effort, it takes time because we have to wait for a response and we actually have to have a communication back and forth. But they are going to tell us their challenges. Okay. Hey, we're really focusing on lead gen. We're really focusing on sales conversion. We're really focused on our internal ops and systems. Okay. And this drives conversation. And here's the thing is that we're also dangling a little carrot of value here, right? Because here's the thing, chances are, if you are someone that wants to know where the marketplace is going, a write up or an analysis on what other agencies are doing in the space during Q4 might turn your head a little bit and be like, well, I wonder what everyone else is focused on. Yeah, like I would like that. So let me tell them a little bit so I can get that info back. Becomes powerful. So here's the thing, guys. This is very conversational. Indirect messaging takes a lot more nurturing, but can result in a longer conversation. So with that being said, if you don't have a lot of time, this probably isn't the best choice for you. But if you have some time, this could work really well for you. Now, customization, let's talk about it. Now, we kind of already mentioned this, but customization, bad if your time is limited and you're not going to do any follow-ups. If you're not going to do follow-ups, do not customize and do not cater for that prospect. Okay. Now, if you're like, Josh, my follow-up game is on point, we have a team in place, they're going to follow up. Sweet. Customize all day. I don't care. Okay. We don't do customization in our outbound, so I'm not going to show you guys anything custom, right? Because we just don't do it. Because for us, one, we don't have the time, but two, these messages work very well for us. And so why would we change something that's not broken? Now, here's the thing. Guys, we are marketers at the end of the day. I don't care if you don't even own a marketing agency, you are a marketer because you have to be able to get people in to your service, right? And so if that's the case, you guys should be trying different things. You should be trying customization. I'm not saying don't do customization at all. I think customization can be great. But for the season that we're in as a business, it's just not right for us right now. But down the road, when we want to get a little bit more robust with our outbound, well, yeah, we'll do some customization. We'll put a little bit larger team in place to send those messages, but it's going to take a lot more time and effort to do that. And so for now, because our bandwidth is shortened, then we're going the non-customization route. Okay. So keep that in mind. If you don't have a lot of time, customization might be bad. Okay. But if you do have a lot of time, sweet. Send custom Loom videos. Do whatever you want. Okay. Now, let's talk follow-ups. If you are going to customize, if you are going to send something that requires some sort of follow-up, okay, well, send the initial message. If you can get their number, call them if you have their number. Okay. Text them if you have their number. And if you don't get a response, run that shit back. Okay. Put it on repeat. Okay. Resend a message, bump it, do whatever you can to initiate response. Because here's the thing. This is a saying in sales, but it's also true in lead generation as well. The worst thing that you can ever get is a maybe, right? And they talk about that in sales all the time. The worst response you can ever get is a maybe, because it's not a yes or no, because that's someone that you're going to have to continue to follow up with until they say no. And the same thing is true with lead generation. The worst thing you could ever get is no response or a maybe, right? And so for us, we want a clear yes or no. If it's a no, sweet, we'll just take that person out, right? If it's a yes, sweet, we can go ahead and continue the conversation, right? But we need to be able to hit them until they respond to us. Okay. So don't be afraid to do continuous follow up. Okay. And do it on different channels. Try different ways. Try different messaging. Okay. If they are someone in your niche that could have value from your service, then you should feel convicted to continue to knock on the door until they tell you no. So don't be afraid, okay, of sending more messages if they don't respond. If they leave you on red, send more messages. All right. Now, dealing with positive replies. We love positive replies. And this is a really great positive reply. This was actually to an open-ended question. This actually came from this exact message over here, where they're talking about, hey, I know this is random, but you seem like the right person to reach out. This is the research write-up and analysis message. And this one came from my business partner, Nicholas. Cam, I've been hearing similar focuses a lot. Actually, I'll be compiling all the replies over the coming weeks. Excited to share them with you. I couldn't help but mention, but generating consistent sales is actually one of the major things I had to focus on when scaling my first agency. If you're open to it, I'd love to find 10 to 15 minutes to learn more about each other and share a few ideas that have helped me. Feel free to find a time that works best for you here. Boom, audit session. Worst case scenario, I'll share a few ideas that have been working really well for other agencies with a similar model to yours. Okay. So once again, we end it with that worst case scenario. I'm telling you, this end sentence here, worst case scenario, I'll share for you ideas, really gets people across the line and really builds some trust. So utilize this model a little bit. These messages are really effective, especially if you're utilizing open-ended. But we're talking about the problems that they mentioned over here, right? And so if their problem is generating consistent sales, okay, on this, well, I'm going to mention that. I'm going to have scripts ready around, well, hey, I noticed that you mentioned that you're struggling with this. This is something that we actually struggled with in our agency when we first started. We actually have a few frameworks that are really effective. Would you be open to jumping on a 10 to 15 minute call? We could chat about those frameworks. I could show you some of the implementation that we can do for you guys, and make sure that you're getting the value that you need. Worst case scenario, like I'll just share some ideas that have been working well for other agencies that are similar to yours. Okay. So that's how we deal with positive replies. Now let's talk about dealing with negative replies, right? Because we're going to get a lot of them, right? We can get a lot of FUs, screw off, those types of things. We just move on. Okay. Have a nice day. Okay. See you next Tuesday. All right. So just move on from those. Good to go. Okay. And that's the messaging side. It's relatively easy, guys, but it is a volume game, right? Which kind of moves us into the actual volume itself. Yeah. Let me pause for a second. Or she could say is you. That's so true. So true. Do you have templates of these workflows? Devin, of course, brother. We always got templates. Here you go. They're inside of this Miro board right here. Snag them. Okay. Now I don't have like templates for like Apollo and like sending like messages out and stuff. Like you guys, come on. Like like a lot of that stuff is so self-guided. It's not hard to set up an account on Apollo and send out some messaging, right? But you guys can utilize these scripts. Feel free. It's so funny because I've started to actually receive some of these scripts from people in the internet marketing space, which is great. We love it, right? And I didn't design these scripts. We got these from our good friends over at Uptown Creation. They do LinkedIn Outbound. They taught us this whole system. Guys are absolute savages when it comes to outbound. So check them out, Uptown Creation, Chris Cozzolino, the GOAT. But anyway, you guys, with that being said, if you guys need those scripts, they're here for you. Utilize them. It's not stealing by any means. Go utilize them. Go land clients, please. Okay. Now let's talk about volume for a quick second here. Okay. LinkedIn. Okay. So if you guys are going to use the LinkedIn strategy that I posted a couple months back, okay, up here. Okay. This is the full strategy up here, guys. So please, 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 if you're going to use LinkedIn, follow this. Do not just like try and like shoot it from the hip and figure it out. Guys, the strategy works extremely well. Okay. It is a volume play once again, but it does work extremely well if you work the system. Now, on the volume side, LinkedIn. Okay. A couple things that you have to do. And once again, go back and watch the training. This is a segment of it. This is not the full thing. Okay, so go watch the training, please. 20 requests per day. Just requests with people that are inside of your niche. You got to make those requests, okay? Because that's what's going to allow you to actually send messages. So if you don't make requests, you can't send messages unless you have LinkedIn Sales Navigator and you have inbounds. Now, inbounds are limited, so you have to start making connection requests. Send messages to connections, as many as there are, okay? And then from there, send 10 emails per day to people inside of your niche. Set these as recurring tasks in your project management software. And remember, this is about consistency. So be prepared to pivot with your messaging and test new messaging if this isn't working well for you. Now, I will say, you guys, utilize the scripts that I freaking give you. I don't know how many times I've reviewed people's scripts and they change the scripts and they're like, yeah, like it wasn't working. And I'm like, how long did you try it for? Oh, I tried it for a week. I'm like, it's not long enough. Okay. Try it for at least a full month, maybe even 2 months, and keep pushing. Okay. Keep pushing these scripts out. They do work. So 20 requests per day, send requests or send messages every single day to the connections that will actually connect with you. When you send requests, do not customize the request. Just send the request blank and then send the message after they connect with you. Okay. And then you can send 10 emails per day to people who don't connect with you or haven't connected with you yet. Sound good? Okay. So that's the volume side for LinkedIn. Okay. Go watch that training. It's really good. Now, email. Relatively simple, 100 emails per day. Okay. You'll get a 30% open rate, 10% reply rate, 3% engaged leads. These are the KPIs we're at least shooting for. Okay. If you get 3% engaged leads, that means you'll generate roughly 3 phone conversations from 100 emails. Okay. Relatively good. Okay. Could be a little bit lower, could be a little bit higher. Got to test things. Okay. You got to be a data scientist when it comes to these things. Track vigorously. Okay. You do not want to ignore the data on the side. If you ignore the data, then you do not know what is broken, right? If your open rate is super low, well, chances are you didn't hook them in. Okay. Title of the email was bad or subject line of the email was bad. Maybe the first line didn't pop out to them enough. Okay. If you have below a 10% reply rate, chances are the email that you sent wasn't very good. But if you use these scripts, we get a decent amount of responses to those scripts. But once again, you are a marketer, right? Do some marketing, A/B test some shit. Okay. And then 3% engaged leads. Okay. If you're not getting call bookings, okay, you might have to change the messaging, you might have to change the call to action, something along those lines. Okay. So some KPIs for you guys when it comes to the volume. Now, Hormozi wrote this inside of his book. I love this quote. Most people underestimate the amount of volume it takes to use cold outreach. And they also underestimate how long it actually takes. Guys, this system works extremely well, but it takes some time and it takes a decent amount of volume. And you have to be bullish on it and you have to continue to do it even when it isn't working. Because guess what, guys? For the first 3 months, it didn't work for us either. But I refuse to believe that someone out there is smarter than me and can figure it out, but I can't. So you have to be bullish and you have to bang your head against the keyboard until you do figure it out. And once you do figure it out, it becomes a really viable source of leads for you. So continue to push on it. Okay. It does work. Hormozi uses it. I use it. A lot of successful agencies use it. So if it works for them, why wouldn't it work for you? It'll work. Just keep pushing. Okay. Now, last little piece here, automate and delegate. Okay. Work on this until you prove out a winning strategy. Then move quickly to create SOPs and hire VAs to delegate the work to. And then consistently search for new softwares to automate pieces of your outreach system. You guys, this is in my opinion, a low leverage activity when you have it figured out. Until you have it figured out, it's good for you to run. It's good for you to continue to test. But once you crack it, it needs to be delegated quickly off of your plate. Because here's the thing, you could pay a VA to do this. It's not that hard. Now, cracking the messaging, getting responses, learning the formula it actually takes to win at cold outbound, that's a high leverage activity. Because until it's cracked, chances are no one on your team is going to figure it out. Right now, maybe you have someone that's a little bit more of a savage on the marketing side for you. Okay, maybe they can figure it out for you. But this is something that you should probably learn, right? And then be able to teach to a team, delegate it out, and get it running without you. That's the goal, right? Our system runs without me. I don't touch it. Nicholas doesn't touch it. Okay. Every once in a while, we'll add in, test some new scripts. Okay. See if we can't get a little bit better response rate, or maybe some of our responses started falling off. We book less calls. In a 30-day window. Okay. Well, let's change. Let's pivot. Let's figure this thing out. Right. But once we get it figured out, start to delegate. Yeah. Don't keep this on your plate because it does become a low leverage activity over time. And that's it. Okay. That's an outbound strategy for you guys. What questions do we have? You ain't tracking, you ain't trying. True. What questions, comments, concerns, epiphanies, takeaways do we have? Instantly, cold emails. Yes, you can use instantly. I think we use instantly for our cold email strategy. I didn't put together our cold email strategy. But yes, we use instantly. I'm like 99% sure we use instantly. Extraordinary things don't come from extraordinary actions. It comes from doing ordinary things an extraordinary amount of time. Dude, true. We need to get this on a poster somewhere. Corey, obviously crack the code first, but after that, and software suggestions. What do you mean, but after that? So obviously crack the code first, but after that, just run it. Volume, push. That's it. That's really what it comes down to. It's just continue to send as much as you can. Okay. If you can get it up to 60,000 per month, get it up to 60,000 per month. We just warmed up 20 email domains. That's how much we're leaning into cold outbound. So our first emails are really starting to flow out. So yeah, we have 20 email domains warmed up. On the software suggestion side for email, Instantly and Apollo. Those are really the only two that you actually need, I think, on that side. In $100 million leads, Hormozi does talk about like, hey, test new softwares. Like if you can find something that works extremely well for you, it is probably worth the software cost. So test things, try different softwares. Like there's so many different ones out there, from where you scrape your lead list from to softwares to follow up with with your lead list, especially after you've messaged them the first time. Guys, there's so much opportunity out there when it comes to outbound. Try things, test things. If it doesn't work, scrap it. Move on to the next one. Oh shit. I just dropped my water bottle. Okay. Move on to the next thing. Okay. So hopefully that answers that question. Okay, Corey. Once code is cracked, any software suggestions for automation? So this is something that we're still kind of figuring out on the automation side. We are looking at, I'm completely blanking on the application right now on the automation side. But it allows us to message people directly from like a CRM software. I don't know exactly. I'm sorry, Corey. I don't have too many on the automation side. We do a lot of manual work when it comes to outbound. So we have VAs in place that send these for us right now. So, and it honestly, it's relatively cheap. It's not expensive. But if we find some, I will share. I will share with the crew. Yes. Let me see if I can find. Man, I'm completely blanking on this software. I actually sent it in our Slack channel, Corey, sometime back, and I said I was interested in looking at this. I'm blanking right now. I don't know why I can't pull it out of my head. If I remember it, I will send it over to you. Adam said, Lemlist is one we used at our old agency. It worked well. Yeah, great. Use Lemlist. Adam, do we use Lemlist right now? Or do we use, I know we use Apollo for our lists. Do we use Lemlist at all right now? VAs basically need to use your LinkedIn account. Correct. Yes. So they are logged in under our accounts and they send via us. And then we have other accounts as well. So we send from 4 accounts currently. We send 20 connection requests, 20 to 25 connection requests a day. And then any connection requests that we connect with get messages, and then we send in mails on all of those as well. So all of those have Sales Navigator Pro, I believe. And we could send a certain amount per month. I can't remember exactly how many it is. I think it's like 100, 150 in mails a month that we get for people that we can't connect with or didn't connect with us. Adam said we don't use Lemlist currently. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think our system is relatively simple. Doesn't take a lot. And then, VAs are relatively cheap. So what other questions do we have? How much follow-ups is too much? No such thing. We're just waiting for a no. As soon as the no happens, then we stop following up with them. But we circle back around in maybe 6 months. Okay. Now, if they say, hey, stop sending me messages, and they say, take me off your list, then obviously take them off your list. But if like, hey, not right now, or I'm not interested, okay, no problem. I'll circle back around in 6 months. Okay. And Corey said, till they block you. Okay. Till they block you, or if they do say, hey, take me off your list, you got to take them off your list. I think that's an FTC thing, if I'm not mistaken. What else we got? We got 8 people in here today. Crazy. What up, crew? Anything else, guys? That's it? That's all the questions we got? We can ask questions outside of lead generation if you guys have other questions. Happy to jam for a few minutes here. Let me know. Adam said, right now we use Apollo mostly to scrape leads and instantly to send emails. Apollo just gets expensive with multiple inboxes / sender domains. Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought we did. Apollo to scrape and then instantly to send emails. Boom. There it is. There it is, crew. Utilize that. You guys, before we leave and kind of wrap up agency therapy for tonight, do me a favor. Leave a like on the stream. It really helps us reach more people. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, just do me a favor. Just subscribe, because here's the thing. We're growing this thing this year. Okay. 2024, you're going to see massive growth on this channel. I refuse to let it stay small because here's the thing, there's people that need this value, right? And your contribution to our growth is actually very important. And it really doesn't happen without you guys. And so if you want to see this community grow and you want to see more engagement, and you want to see more people get involved and be able to take larger steps in their business, then leave a like, subscribe, maybe even share it with a friend that's in the agency space or even owns a service-based business. Because here's the thing, guys, these principles, they aren't just true for the agency space, right? Service-based businesses in general all operate very similar way. So if this has been effective for you, if this has shown any value to you this year and you continue to come back, don't just hold it for yourself. Okay. Share it with someone. That's my ask. Felix, does it take long to train a VA on your process? No, it's so easy, man. You just got to write some SOPs. Here's the thing. I always recommend the first time that you guys run an outbound system or really any system in general, learn how to do it yourself first, and then set the expectation of how you want it done. Show them the buttons that they need to push, show them the messages that they want to send out. Okay. The training period is relatively short. These aren't complex systems. These are really simple. So here's the thing. When you're creating the process around it, video yourself doing it first. Okay. Here's the buttons that I'm pushing. Okay. Take that. And if you're using Loom, you'll get a transcription from it. Take that transcription, dump it into ChatGPT and say, hey, will you create an SOP for me and document every step of this? Okay. It'll lay out the SOP. So now you have a written and a video SOP that goes along with it. That way, if there are any questions, they have a step-by-step guide and they have a video to watch to fall back on. Yeah. That's how we create SOPs. It's really easy to do. Okay. Any best self-auditing or efficiency auditing practices? Best self-auditing or efficiency auditing, like for me personally, Corey? Or are you saying like for the team, best self-auditing? So I'm assuming you're talking like, are you talking like my day-to-day, like keeping my schedule, things like that? Give me a little color there. Give me a little color. Okay. Yeah, absolutely, man. For me, I'm very poor at uh, uh, self auditing, and so I have people that can help keep me accountable to my best practices. This is something that for me, Cody Jefferson is my current like executive coach, and I check in and check out with him every single day. We have an action list, things that need to get done, and making sure that certain tasks are getting done, and I'm doing the essentials throughout my day. So for me, high accountability. How do you audit yourself and efficiencies in the business? Good question. Good question. There's a couple different ways. Okay. If you are in a season where efficiencies are what you're focused on, then doing a process-based map will become very important for you. You have to have knowledge of how every single system runs in the business. And this is the really hard part about the COO position, is knowing the inside and out of how every position is run. And I think one of the best practices that I've ever seen, in my friend Ray Johnston over at Right Hook Digital, really turned me on to this process-based mapping exercise. And I think we've done a stream on this before, if I'm not mistaken. So if you guys go into the agency stream board, you'll actually be able to see one of the process-based maps. Let me see what part it is real quick. Part 22, process-based mapping. So if you guys are curious about that, you can go in there. But when it comes to bringing more efficiency into the business, we need to know every single step that goes into a certain process or system. So if we were auditing how much time it takes our creative team to develop an asset, right? A specific asset. Say it's a UGC video. Well, we need to be able to see the steps that they take in creating that asset. And there's probably a certain way or a certain expectation that you want it done in. And it's just like looking at an assembly line, right? And if you look at Toyota or like things like Ford Motor Company, one of the best stories that I've ever taken from Toyota was that the Toyota manufacturers actually went out to Ford to learn the assembly line process, right? Because Ford was the originator of the assembly line, and they went to Ford and they looked at the assembly line process, and they noticed something very weird about the assembly line process, and that it had a lot of inefficiencies in it. And one of the inefficiencies that was actually inside of the assembly line process was when they would put the door on. They would put the door on, and then they would send it down the assembly line, and then there'd be someone with a mallet hammer at the next point in the assembly line that would adjust the door with a mallet hammer, right? And just hammer it down and adjust it into the correct place so it would close correctly. Because the way that the assembly line was set up, when the door would go on, it wouldn't align perfectly in the hinge, and they would need to adjust it accordingly, right? And so someone with a hammer would be at the next step of the assembly line, and they would hammer it in. And so in when Toyota brought that back to their facilities, they started putting it in place, and they said, well, why don't we just put the door on right the first time, and we can just eliminate this step in the process, right? And the point of me telling you that story is that sometimes in the process, or when our team is running a certain system, well, they're using a hammer to align the door correctly when the door doesn't need to be hammered in the first place if we just fix the step before, right? And a lot of those inefficiencies happen under the radar without us even knowing. And so getting visuals on how our team runs the day to day. And guys, this is very, what I would consider like very far down the road. This is very hard to do when you're a small team. I'm talking like this is efficiencies when you're a larger team and you're trying to bring more profit to the bottom line. These are the types of efficiencies and nuances that become very important at volume, because there's a lot more activity, there's a lot more heads and a lot more seats. And so these are the types of efficiencies that need to be figured out so you can continue to scale effectively, because that profit margin does become extremely important. And when you can squeeze out another percent, 2% into a department that generates $1 million a year, $10 million a year, that 1% goes a long way, right? Now, when my friend Ray Johnston did this at his agency, Right Hook Digital, and he actually had his team record their screens every single day, 8 hours, and he did it for multiple days. He looked and he found so many inefficiencies on how they were operating, and he would watch these back and I think it was like 60 hours, I want to say, somewhere in there. I don't know if that was the exact number, but roughly 60 hours of game film of his team in his email agency. And after watching all this game film, putting the new systems in place and pulling out the inefficiencies, they gained 30% more efficiency back into that part of the business. 30%. 30% more clients, 30% more revenue, 30% more profit. So when you're talking about building efficiencies in the business, or how do you audit efficiencies, you have to have an understanding of how every single step works, and be able to audit each and every step and understand what doesn't fit, what is inefficient, and how can we change it and make it more efficient. And here's the thing, it's hard to do because it takes time, it takes effort. But if you're in that stage where you're like, hey, really the next big step for us is build efficiencies into the business, and you have to have an understanding of how everything works. And that's the importance of understanding how every department inside of your business does work, right? And eventually, as like, if you move into a CEO position, that's really hard to do. But a COO, right, an operations manager, these are things that they would eventually do inside of a business to bring more efficiencies in and create more profit for the business. Because when we create more profit for the business, then we can unlock so many different doors and avenues that we couldn't before, right? We can bring on more clients. We can pay our team more. As founders, we could pay ourselves more. That's one of the best byproducts of it, because so many business owners underpay themselves just to stay afloat. So I hope that example and story and things kind of lays it all out. But if you guys haven't seen the part 22, process-based mapping, check it out. That's how we bring more efficiency into the business. Corey, hopefully that's helpful. Let me know if that makes sense. Felix, self-reflection in silence. Sometimes I just talk to a Miro board and I just map it all out, right? Cool. Crew, thank you for the questions today. This was a fun one. I appreciate you guys. If you guys need help on any of this, shoot me a message. Happy to help. You guys are crushing it. I appreciate you coming. Leave a like on the stream. We'll be back next week. Before we hop off, I want to run a quick idea by you guys. I want to do our live streams slightly different in the future. These trainings take a pretty long time to put together. I want them to be better than they are now. I know, crazy. Sounds hard. Sounds like it would be very difficult to make them better than they actually are. But I know that I can go an extra level of depth if I have more time to plan. So I'm noodling with the idea of doing these more tactical trainings once a month. So I could take a month's time to put together the most robust training for you guys. But I still want to keep the cadence of once a week, hanging out with you guys, getting questions answered, having the opportunity to work alongside of you. If you have ideas, shoot me a DM. How can we fill, say, 3 weeks out of a month with other content? What would you like to see? Because I want to bring you guys tactical stuff, and I want to make sure it has the depth where it's actually effective for you and you can implement them in. Because sometimes it feels like I don't go to the depth that I know I can go to because I run out of time to plan for these. So what else? Or if you're like, Josh, like these are great, like these are 10 out of 10, like there's no improvement needed. Okay, sure. But my gut feeling is that I can go even a level deeper for you guys and show you more implementation and give you guys more in-depth trainings than I am now. So drop me a DM. You don't have to. We don't have to do this in chat because we're past an hour now, and I want to make sure you guys are off on the rest of your day here. But shoot me a DM. You guys know where to find me: Instagram, Twitter. Those are the best places to DM me. That's where I respond the most. But if we were to fill this time with something else, what would you like to see? Just curious. Let me know. I appreciate you guys stopping in today. We'll see you on the next one. Much love for you guys that come every week. You guys are the best. I really do appreciate it. We're going to blow this channel up. It's going to be a lot of fun in 2024. We got some good live streams. I will be going on vacation in a couple weeks. I'm super excited about it. I'm going to Switzerland, all over Europe. It's going to be freaking top notch. All right. I love you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.